What if everything we've been taught about getting ahead, about what success looks like, what if it's all kind of wrong? Today we're going to dive into a really powerful and honestly a pretty countercultural idea about what it means to win at life, and it comes from some seriously ancient wisdom.
So let me just ask you this straight up. In our world, right now, with all the hustle, the nonstop pace, where there's always something new to chase, what do you personally consider great gain? Like, what's the real prize for you?
For a lot of us, if we're being honest, the answer probably looks something like this, right? We're kind of programmed to chase the bigger paycheck, the nicer house, more influence online, more financial security. We're told over and over that these are the things that'll make us happy. But is that really the whole story?
Well, it turns out there's this ancient formula that just completely flips that whole script on its head. It gives us a radically different way to think about what real, actual, lasting gain is. The source for this is pretty amazing. It's a letter, almost 2,000 years old, written by the Apostle Paul to this young leader he was mentoring, a guy named Timothy. And tucked inside is a truth that is just as revolutionary today as it was way back then. And here it is. This is the core idea. But godliness with contentment is great gain. Just let that sink in. It's not about money or status or promotions. It's this combination, godliness plus contentment, that is presented as the ultimate win, the real treasure.
Now that's a huge statement, right? So to really get it, we've got to unpack those two key ingredients. I mean, what are we even talking about when we say godliness and contentment?
So let's break it down. On one side, you have godliness. And that's not just about, going to church. It's this deep, all-in devotion to God that shapes every single part of your life. Then, on the other side, you have contentment. And this isn't laziness, not at all. It's a deep, powerful satisfaction and trust in what God has provided no matter what's going on around you. You put those two together, and you've got something incredibly powerful.
Okay, so why does this formula actually work? Why is this specific combination considered such a great gain? Well, the text doesn't just leave us hanging. It actually gives us 3 really solid reasons that build a logical case. So, let's get into them.
All right, first up, reason number 1. This is just a massive dose of reality. It's a simple, undeniable truth, right? We show up here with absolutely nothing, and we're going to leave the same way. All the stuff, all the material things we spend our lives piling up, they're all temporary. And when you really get that, it's so freeing. It can totally release you from the pressure of the rat race. I love this quote. It's such a blunt, memorable way of putting it. I mean, it's true. Our earthly stuff just doesn't follow us.
And that whole idea that we can't take it with us leads us right into the second reason this formula works.
The point here is that true, genuine contentment is possible once our fundamental needs are taken care of. Now, this doesn't mean you shouldn't have ambition or try to improve your situation. Of course not. But it's about reorienting our hearts away from that default setting of never enough.
Back then, the standard for contentment was incredibly simple. Have food to eat and clothes to wear. Now, in our world, we probably add things like a roof over our head and basic health care. But the principle? It's exactly the same. It's about finding this deep sense of gratitude for what we already have today.
All right, and the third reason, this one's a little different. It's less of a promise and more of a really powerful warning.
The text is pretty clear that an unchecked, relentless desire to get rich, one that's fueled by a lack of contentment, well, that's a really dangerous path. It can lead people straight into temptation, into all sorts of traps and harmful desires that can end in ruin.
And here it is, one of the most famous and maybe most misunderstood lines from the whole text. Notice what it says. It's not that money is the root of all evil. It's the love of money. It's that out-of-control craving, that deep discontent that opens the door to things like greed and corruption and envy. Godliness with contentment, then, really acts like a guard for your heart.
So we've talked about the what and the why, but that brings up the big question, doesn't it? How in the world do we actually live this out? Well, the source gives us some really practical advice on this.
Here are 5 steps to actually put this into practice. First, make gratitude a daily habit. Start your day thinking about what you have, not what you lack. Second, and this is huge for us today, you have to actively fight the comparison game. Third, work hard, yes, but ultimately trust God to provide. Fourth, intentionally pursue godliness through prayer, through serving others. And finally, be generous. You'll find that truly content people are free to be givers.
So it really boils down to this.
We live in a world that is just constantly screaming at us from every direction. More, more, more. But this ancient wisdom, it quietly invites us into a better, more peaceful, and honestly, a much more rewarding way to live. And that really just leaves us with one final question to think about. In a world that is completely obsessed with chasing temporary treasures, what kind of great gain are you going to choose to pursue? It's definitely something worth thinking about.